Hello, hello. RSA 2024. How is everyone doing? You are obligated to answer because you're right in front of me. Go take your seat. They're having a great time. Okay, this is your signal that if you'd love to come here, here and learn about how to CTF infra beyond the challenges and flags, that this is the time to come over and get settled. So I'm going to give you a few seconds while I introduce myself to do that. My name is Maggie McAlpine. I am the Chief Cybersecurity Evangelist for a little company called Sekion. We provide a security platform for MSPs, so probably not necessarily what all you are looking for, but you should definitely stop by and say hi if it's something that sounds like it's up your alley. Promise that's the end of my infomercial. I am really pleased to be able to introduce today Jayesh and Max, who will be giving us this awesome talk about how to start your own cloud CTF, which I think is based off of their long knowledge of having run it here at RSA for so many years. They've come to share that knowledge with us, and I, for one, am really excited to hear what they have to say. So thank you for your enthusiasm. Please keep that energy up. I know it's been a long day for all of us, but now I would like to welcome to the stage Jayesh and Max.
Thank you, friend. Oh, wow.
Hello, can you hear me all right? All right. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the talk, How to CTF Infra, beyond the challenges and flags. Just a quick brief on why we are doing this. A little background about us. We run cloud, we've been running Cloud Village since last 6 years, which has had a Capture the Flag event every year. Yes, primarily focused on cloud security, but what we wanted to do with this talk was take some time out and explain you what goes beyond. When you think about Capture the Flag, you think about challenges. If it's around cloud security, think about cloud security challenges. But there are very few knowledge bases where it talks about how to run a Capture the Flag event, what goes into the architecture of it, what goes into how to run it in a holistic manner that everyone learns along the process. Yes, playing the Capture the Flag, you do learn things, but while you're building the Capture the Flag event, what are the different kind of learnings which can be in place? Over the last 6 years, this has been what we've been doing with Cloud Village and Capture the Flag. We have run this entirely cloud, volunteer base, and we have a framework for it, which has worked for us so far. We want to extend that framework to all of you here so that you can not just bank on CTFs which are held by Cloud Village or similar entities. You can build one on your own at your local areas and then propagate learning. With that being said, I'll move forward. I'll let Max introduce.
Hi, friends. I'm Max from New York, and I've been working with Cloud Village doing infrastructure work for the CTF since 2020. Couple of fun facts. Used to run a comic book store, art school kid, and coffee, whiskey, fruits, veggies, peace and love are things that keep me motivated to keep doing the kind of work I do.
Yes. I should have put whiskey in mine as well. Hey, hey everyone, I'm Jayesh Singh Chauhan. I'm the founder of Cloud Village. I started that in 2019. I've delivered trainings at different conferences. I've spoken at different conferences. I've written some open source tool. As of now, I work as a CISO for a company called CoinSwitch. That's a bit about me. As I said, we've been running Capture the Flag events since 2019. We'd like to share our knowledge, how we set up the platform, how we set up the infrastructure, how we have a team together which builds challenges, how to have a pathway on solving challenges, how to submit flags, like we've had prizes along the way. We are very fortunate that folks, volunteers who have come across and spent time with us, they've learned, and now quite a few of them are friends, and it's always fun to learn, make friends, and grow along the way. First-hand experience is a gift, also a curse when you are running it, but yes, this is our attempt to streamline it for you. More CTFs are always good. We look at the vision of doing a talk like this as we see more and more CTFs across every geographical location, and this is our small attempt at enabling everyone across. The talk is in two parts. Max is going to talk about the technical infrastructure, how it's architected, how it can scale, how it's been automated. Max will also talk about, we have a GitHub repo where we have streamlined a lot of it. We're going to expose that to you folks. So that's the infrastructure side. I'm going to talk about how the whole human structure works, what is the framework we use to make sure that anyone who's anywhere in their cloud journey, right from you've just made a cloud account, can get plugged into this particular ecosystem. And when they come out of it, they have upskilled a little. And that's the agenda of this. I'll give it to Max for that.
So again, got our talk in two parts. First, very high-level overview. Going to talk about the technical bits, the platform that we run, what the architecture looks like, what broke because it's computers and computers like to set themselves on fire, and also the things that we are looking to do in the future as we run this at other conferences and we learn along the way. So when we're figuring out and have made a commitment to run a Capture the Flag contest, challenges are a very big part of it for obvious reasons, but we need a place for users to come and register to see the challenges. We need a place where we can display a scoreboard to conference attendees and keep track of what's going on. We need a place to actually put the challenges so the players can see them and start interacting with them and they have a starting point. And general administrative via when it starts, when it stops, what it looks like, that kind of thing. While we were looking around, there were two projects that came pretty well regarded from the community. One is CTFD, and that is the specific project that we ended up using. I really like it. The documentation is honestly incredibly solid, which, especially for open source projects, is not always a given. And there was an alternative that we looked at called FBCTF, but that project got archived in 2018. So CTFD was the pretty much only game in town when we were getting started. In particular, what is CTFD? I'm going to quote from GitHub. CTFD is a capture the flag framework focusing on ease of use and customizability. It comes with everything you need to run a CTF, and it's easy to customize with plugins and themes. And this is true. One of our big learnings this year in particular was doing a lot of custom work to support themes and other things. Again, said previously, but I think worth hammering home, this is an open source project that the community contributes to. It's up on GitHub, CTFD, and the creator is Kevin Chung on GitHub at Cold Heat. Has put a lot of work into this project. A lot of teams use it. I would put good money on most CTFs that you come across are probably using CTFD, and it is basically rock solid. Because it's an open source project, if you want to, you can self-host it, which is exactly what we do. Alternatively, if you're in a market for a managed offering, they run it at ctfd.io. So all the infrastructure bits are handled on your behalf, pretty much like a regular SaaS solution. So talked about self-hosting, architecture. What do you need? In 2020, this is how we deployed it. We've got traffic coming in from the public internet. We've got our content distribution network to eat some of that, make our lives a little easier. We've got our load balancers in AWS. We have CTFD, the application itself, running on virtual machines on EC2. Remotely, we've got a mail server because you want to make sure that your users can successfully register. We got blob storage in S3 for static assets. We've got our database running in our AWS RDS for MySQL. And we've got Elasticache to make sure that we can cache session cookies and make sure that everybody can actually get the rest of the traffic and the rest of the content that they need delivered. So, what? Everything we've built has been written and encoded using Terraform. Terraform, for folks who might not be familiar, it is, I'd argue, probably the most well-known and well-invested infrastructure as code tool built by a company called HashiCorp. For the virtual machines themselves, we use another tool that HashiCorp makes called Packer. The idea is you have a declarative way of describing the VMs that you want to build and use that so every time you spin one up, it is known, it is documented, and it is repeatable. Further, we've got the virtual machines running in auto-scaling groups. That means it gives us the capability to control and, in a hands-off way, absorb a traffic influx. We can scale out to address that demand. And of course, on the flip side, after a traffic spike, you need to spin down, otherwise you're kind of burning money. And auto-scaling allows us to bring that back in and have that level of cost control. In addition, we've got the services that I mentioned previously, the remote database, asset storage, and the cache. These allow us to make sure that while we're scaling out and scaling in, we don't have service interruptions. Because everything is remote and separated, we have the capability to maintain a level of access and uptime without interrupting every time. I don't need to turn my machines on and off to make them bigger and tweak the size of my virtual machines and, I don't know, turn off the CTF in the middle of it. Not a good look. Also, because what is an application without secrets management? We were using AWS Secrets Manager the first time around. Store database, store access keys. One feature that I want for the future, I am role support, so I have less credentials to manage, but that's for the future. Also, keys for session signing. So I'd mentioned a CDN earlier, Content Distribution Network. Why even do that? We're absorbing a lot of traffic, and we want to make sure that all the traffic that actually gets to us is good. We want to make sure that anything that can be served by somebody else is. Anything that can reduce the load on the infrastructure that we maintain and we're responsible for makes our lives easier. Computers are terrible and will break, but when we can reduce that from a security perspective and have a content distribution network address some of that from a caching perspective and serve some of that on our behalf, it makes our lives easier and it makes the overall performance of the application as well as the user experience so much better. So if you want one, there's a couple vendors that come to mind. AWS, they've got one, Cloudflare, Fastly, Akamai, or if you want to go super hard, Kurt, one of the senior engineers at Fly.io, wrote a really, really interesting post about building your own CDN with Nginx. I'm not that hardcore, so that's not something I'm ever going to do, but if it's of interest, I would highly recommend checking it out. I said the word infrastructure as code a couple times. I know what it is. I breathe this. That doesn't mean everybody else does, and that's okay. Infrastructure as code is a way to document and describe the components that you use in your application. Instead of having one person know how the application works and when they go on vacation, everybody's kind of screwed, we have code that we can review, share, test, and inspect, and have a regular release process the same way we would for any other application that we're delivering. Terraform in particular has a declarative approach. You tell it what you want, and it does it for you, as opposed to something like Pulumi or Troposphere, two other infrastructure as code tools, but take a more procedural approach. You tell them exactly how you want things constructed. Both valid approaches. My preference is for declarative. It's easier to learn, it's easier to teach, and it is significantly easier to read. One last bit about Terraform. I'm a big fan. It gives you the capability to pre-validate a lot of your infrastructure changes, and that pays incredible dividends during development and delivery. Oh, I know I'm going to change my capacity. Oh, I know I'm going to change the configurations of my cache, and I don't want to fat finger it. So capability called Terraform Plan and Validate give you the option to say, what changes am I making? Are these actually the changes that I want to make? And it adds to a lot more robust testing and code review process. So in 2021, what did it look like? We've got load balancer in front, absorbing traffic. We've got CTFD running in containers in Amazon's Elastic Container Service offering. We've got our remote mail server, asset storage, remote database, and cache. Clicker. Cool. Oh, there we go. So if you think that looks the same as the other architecture diagram, it's because you're basically right. It is the same, almost identical. One major change, and for 2021, I had spent my entire innovation budget replatforming from using virtual machines to using containers and Amazon ECS. Why? I can SSH to a VM, I can tweak a configuration, I can change it, and forget literally everything I've done in 5 seconds. With containers, it's a lot harder to do that. It's much more of a push towards documentation, it's much more of a push towards accountability, and it's much more of a push towards transparency. Again, reducing bus factor at all costs. I am good at this, I like it. That doesn't mean it should only ever be me, and that doesn't help the team that I work with learn and grow. In addition, fun benefits of using containers instead. One, a lot more interesting isolation boundaries. Two, they're faster to spin up. It takes time to provision a virtual machine, and fractions of that get used to create a container image. anybody ever curious about how Amazon does this, they run it using a technology called Firecracker. Basically micro VMs that execute containers in a way that allows for machine level isolation using the process primitives that Docker provides. Super cool. I'm not cool enough to mess with that, but one day when I grow up, I'm super excited to get into it. But back to this deployment, one of the benefits of using ECS is that it has really good support for not just AWS Secrets Manager, also Parameter Store. Parameter Store in particular is my preference. One, from a cost perspective, it's a lot cheaper. And two, just from a development perspective, it's a lot easier to get started with, and it's a lot easier for knowledge transfer. We still want auto scaling because we still have that same problem. I still have traffic coming in, and I want to make sure that I can absorb it and respond appropriately. And I want to make sure I'm not setting money on fire once that dies down. So instead of writing the logic in Terraform from scratch, which is what I did when I had built the virtual machine implementation, I pulled something off of the Terraform module registry, kind of like a package repo for Terraform code. Community contributes a lot of existing models and deployment ideas, and using that means that I get to offload that logic onto effectively another library. So how did it go when I ran it the first time in 2020? We had problems. We choked during registration. The app was slow. The page wouldn't load. We had 500 errors being thrown to the users. I thought this was a reasonable problem to have. You've just opened registration for a Capture the Flag contest. People are excited. And that's why your website is slow. So I should be scaling because I spent all this time and energy building out this auto-scaling logic. So I checked and I was wrong. I have no scaling. The application is CPU bound, so should be crunching through, doing a lot of work. It's not doing a lot of work. Is there anything wrong with the database? Is there anything wrong with the cache? Checked it out. Also, the answer turns out to be no. Cue panic. After a bunch of debugging and crying on my part, we figured out what the problem was. CTFD, we were running CTFD using a web server called gUnicorn, and it was not configured correctly. If anybody has ever used gUnicorn before, I'm sorry. It's hard, it hurts, and I have feelings about it. But yeah, tuning this web server, once we figured that out, we're able to address it and actually leverage all of the capacity that we are paying for on these virtual machines, increase threads, increase workers, and services resumed, and everything is back to normal, working the way it should. But default configuration for gUnicorn has gotten me on multiple different applications and jobs, so a thing to watch out for when you run this. The next year, in 21, when we ran on ECS for the first time, we did really well. No capacity issues, we scaled out appropriately, scaled in, cost control is good, all of our components are in check, and everybody is pretty happy. And then of course, because computers are terrible, the same thing doesn't hold true for the next year. We have found what looks like a memory leak in the CTFD application, so that requires care and feeding throughout a Capture the Flag competition. You may need to roll your fleet and adjust the footprint as you go. You can throw more capacity at it if you want to solve it that way. But a thing to be aware of, you cannot just run at minimum capacity because you will die. Also, we had a fun issue in 2022 where database connections, for reasons that are honestly unclear to me, kept being open and not closed correctly by the application. So my web application is basically executing a denial of service attack against my database, because this is what it's decided to do today. Fixable, you make direct connections to the database and start shooting them, but it's not the way it should be. We should be better than that. These exact same issues happened to us in 2023. The upside, forewarned is forearmed. We knew what this was, we're familiar with it, and we know exactly how to remedy it. Helps a lot, doesn't mean that the problems go away, but because we know this, because we've got some skin in the game already, it makes it easier, and we're able to address this kind of behavior without anybody on the front end ever noticing that anything is wrong. There's just me sort of behind the scenes freaking out a little bit, which is okay, because computers. We know how to fix them, but one of the difficulties we have is we're running a live contest. I can't take down my platform just because I identify a memory leak and stop a contest live. That's not a viable option under any circumstances. You can't turn the business off just because you found a problem. So we're in a very, very tight situation where our focus is remediation rather than contribution upstream. Also, debugging memory leaks takes a long time. So I've talked a lot about this code. Where is it? It's all up on the Cloud Village GitHub, cloudvillage/ctfd infra. This is all the Terraform code that we've built over the last couple years. It will provision the containers, it'll provision the database, it'll provision your cache, and we recently added a feature to support custom container images if the Spirit moved you to modify CTFD in a particular way. Now that capability is something that this implementation supports. Previously, we've been pulling strictly from upstream, which is a valid approach, but having this level of flexibility allows a lot more. It allows you to be able to customize things a lot more to your liking. In particular, this year, we were able to do a lot more theme customization and development, but in order to support that, we needed the custom container feature. This is what we've done. I want things for the future because this isn't done yet, and this is not the last time we're ever going to run this. Logging. I need to know what happens. What is going on? Right now, we're using CloudWatch logs. It's not the most friendly tool in the box. It gets the job done, but there's room for improvement. I want to explore Grafana Loki. I absolutely have feelings about maybe exploring OpenTelemetry and getting some code and patches in upstream. We'll see how it goes. From the infrastructure perspective, I want to be able to build some continuous integration and delivery pipelines, because right now I am running everything and deploying it all myself. This is a valid option, and I have collaborators that can do this work. However, having a CI pipeline and a delivery pipeline means that, again, less bus factor, less bottlenecks, and less reasons for any one person to be a linchpin. Bus factor is terrible, and everything that I can do to get rid of it is exactly what I want. I don't want my phone to go off at 4 o'clock in the morning if I can help it. Or at the very least, if it's going off at 4, it better be real. There's another tool called TerraGrunt. This is a very, very deeply opinionated way of writing and delivering infrastructure as code. It's kind of like Terraform++, gets you all the features of vanilla Terraform, plus a couple of really, really interesting abstractions. And I've got some ideas on how I might be able to use that to better do role-based access control for a component. I don't want to give an engineer who has access to my database the access to the application deployment, and I want to be able to allow these two engineers to work in isolation as much as they need to and collaborate when they have to, rather than force it. Potentially, I don't know, rewrites are a thing. Maybe we rewrite it in the CDK with Terraform. Make that change from a declarative approach using Terraform to a procedural approach. In my case, I write a lot of Python, so potentially I'll rewrite this in Python. Maybe it's better that way. Python has a much wider user base than Terraform, and maybe that makes it more accessible to folks. The future is big. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Jayesh to talk about how the humans do it.
All right, thank you for that, Max. So yes, while Max talked about what goes from the tech side, what goes from the infrastructure side, you need folks to do it. And how do you get started with it? First thing is you got to gather up people, right? We have been fortunate enough to have our, get a lot of volunteers via Twitter campaigns. And on our website, we have a form which says if you want to volunteer, and then you walk in, we then welcome you with a pre-volunteer meeting, and then we kind of separate people out as per where they want to be into tech ops, which is mostly taken care by Max, and folks who want to build challenges, right? This framework is not just cloud security specific. If you're running any CTF, this really works. Once you have folks, you do a pre-volunteer meet, and then you get to know folks of where they are for us, because it's cloud security, where they are in their cloud security journey, and then plug them in as per where they want to be, rather than what we think would that person do, right? We are more receptive. We want to hear where you are in your journey so that we can plug you well. Where do we plug you? That's something I'm going to cover, and how we plug you, right? So we're going to cover how we started, how we organize volunteers, roles and responsibilities, collaborations, and community. So yeah, it's, as I said, Cloud Village started in 2019. there was a CTF team. The CTM team was of 4 people creating challenges, deploying it, managing the platform, responding to folks on social media, because if something went down, we had a tweet sitting for us, and we had a social media team. The CTF team had to sync up with social media team in order to do these tweets. And impromptu, it's all right if things go bad, but you need an active channel to talk to folks so that they are well informed. Like when I say folks, players, right? And yeah, talking with on-site players, because we were on-site and there were many other variables which were in play. Since we had the structure which was kind of helping us initially, we had more bandwidth to do firefighting, because there are a lot of things which can go wrong, and you should have bandwidth to do that. Team structure, some of the foundational areas is we have a concept called challenge builder, challenge owner, challenge tester, and we have platform and infrastructure. Max talked a lot about platform and infrastructure, but we'll cover some of it in my slides as well. So let's go through these roles one by one. Who's a challenge builder? All things technical to build a challenge. If you are someone, like for us, when it comes to cloud security context, if you're versed with cloud, like if you know how cloud works and you want to build a challenge, then you kind of get into the segment of challenge builders. Their role involves building a challenge, automating the challenge in case there is any downtime during the live event. So once you build the challenge, you automate it using Terraform or something similar. You work in tandem with challenge owners to complete their challenge creation. Now, challenge builders are people who want to build challenge, don't have prior experience, or may have prior experience but are not very confident that they can build a challenge end to end and get it tested. That's where challenge owners come into the picture, because but yeah, so no prior experience required to build a challenge. The team will guide you, and who guides the challenge builder? That's challenge owner. These are folks who have in past built one or more challenges with Cloud Village or anywhere else where they contributed towards CTF. Yes, has prior experience with building CTM challenges. As they have the prior experience, they are responsible end-to-end for the execution of CTF, from the ideation part to helping the challenge builder. It's not a challenge owner cannot build challenge. Sometimes they also go ahead and build challenge, but they are responsible to help out challenge builders along the way. While challenge builders are technically savvy, or wherever they are in their journey, if they've just started with cloud, we let them build an easy challenge. If they are fairly well into that journey and they have like more skillful when it comes to experience with cloud and building challenges, we give them a medium or a hard level challenge. But still, challenge owner owns the challenge. Challenge owner is responsible for helping the builders, which means writing the code for it, architecture review, breaking it down into pieces, the whole challenge, how the flow would go, and helping challenge builder along the way. Kind of acts as a challenge builder for other challenges as well, but major part is guidance to the builders. What that does is, like in hindsight, is that while the challenge builders probably haven't built challenges before, but they go through the journey, which help them upskill along the way and be more confident on building challenges and be more comfortable. And more often than not, next year they've joined us as challenge owners, so which has been a very nice win. They are responsible for the success of their challenge execution and delivery. Someone runs the project management on it, but from a technical front, challenge owner is wholly responsible for one or more challenges. If the challenge builder, challenge owner is the guiding light for challenge builder. So if challenge builder cannot, and for some circumstances cannot build it, challenge owner goes and build the challenge as well. So these are the responsibility owned by challenge owner. Challenge tester. Now, you might not be entirely related to cloud security altogether, but you know your way around systems, right? And you walk in and you're like, hey, I want to learn cloud security. I want to contribute to the CTF. So challenge testers are folks, when a challenge builder builds a challenge owner vets it, then challenge builder is tasked with writing the steps to solve it, because we can't have the same person test the challenge. And this is where challenge tester become important. They look at the steps which are given by the challenge builder or challenge owner, either one of them can be there, follows the steps like a layman and see whether the challenge works well. What it does is it gives us an extra pair of eyes for someone who's looking at the challenge. For the person who's really new to security, challenge testing kind of introduces them to a particular vulnerability or a particular abuse in cloud, which essentially upskills them a little bit. They sometimes come as challenge builder the next year. So this is how we have like a feedback loop which keeps going. The person, if they are coming from, we always appreciate if they are coming from a pen testing background, because they can, while we can be myopic about a challenge can be solved in a certain way, this new perspective helps us see if they have left any gaps along the way. And it can be any challenge tester, can be anyone except the challenge builder. Challenge owner can also test it, but we would like definitely not the challenge builder, and if preferable, not the challenge owner either for that particular challenge. Platform infrastructure team, Max has been taking care of it for the last 5 years, and Max has been leading that team. But these are folks who have done tech ops, DevOps in the job role or are interested into that. We have a home for them because this whole infrastructure has to be maintained, has to be deployed, has to be monitored on a regular basis. While, when we are on a production time, like the way we are in RSA, we have a capture the flag event going on. Started yesterday, 4:30 p.m. Gonna go on overnight all the way till 12 p.m. Tomorrow. There are folks on call. We have Discord. We are on Discord, which also helps. We get to monitor our Twitter as well, social media, and the platform infrastructure team stays in sync if there is anything broken. Just today we realized, I think just an hour or two back, there was some IP which was acting a little funny. So the team plugged them in, fixed it, synced with social media team to put the tweet out so that everyone is aware of what's happening. They're also responsible for the incident response supporting all of the above. And as social media is our voice out to folks, and so they actively stay in sync with the social media team, so tweet out anything. The essence of all of this is when we look at on-call, we are not really afraid if something would go wrong. This is one of the principles we operate with, that, hey, things would go wrong, that's all right. We would make sure that we fix it, learn from it, and not repeat it again. That has been really helpful. And all of this structure has essentially helped out cover a bigger vision that anyone who gets associated with Cloud Village gets to learn. After the event is done, they have upskilled in their particular, in the cloud security field in many areas, including how to maintain infrastructure. It's always nice to add more flair, so what we also push folks towards, if they can, to build challenges for lesser known cloud service provider. If the above structure, which are like the early structure, whatever I said, if this works fine, we get things done in timeline, and then it gives us more bandwidth to tinker around with lesser known cloud service providers and build challenges onto it, research on it. And we also add hints that takes away a few points in our CTF challenge at times, because that kind of adds more fun to the whole gaming process. And let's not discount the role of social media challenge. I think social media channels, I think I've spoken a bit about it already, but spreading the word about CTF, but the bigger gap, which I have personally seen in the last 6 years, is folks have, while we had a booth in, we have a space in DEF CON, and DEF CON is where we've had major experience of ours. Folks walk in and they get to know after a day or so that, hey, we had a CTF. And they want to play, they want to learn, but we can only support the infrastructure. We do go an extra mile and keep it open for another 24 hours after the conf is done, but that's about it. So social media plays an important role to spread the word. And over the time, the older folks have joined us, younger folks have started putting memes out. We never used to do memes also, but then those are there. Emojis are part of the world now. So yeah, artwork, memes, visual design, they kind of add more power to it, and lets us spread the word better. Announcement of any major communication, as we said, as we're talking about social media channel, when are your registration opening? We work towards opening it 24 hours, but before that, the work of social media starts a month or two before to work with the folks. If you're working with a conference, work with the conference folks and use the right handle, use the right hashtags, and spread the word better. Announcement, as I said, announcement of any major communication. Active sync with the CTF team. This has been a blessing because when we start with something, we think that this is how the perfect world would look like, and sometimes we might not have room for things which can go wrong. For us, social media, CTF's team sync up with social media is a framework which works, that if things go wrong, we have a plan in place and it can be fixed. And kind of in a hindsight, we have, at least with Cloud Village, we have normalized that it's all right if things go wrong. This is not a perfect world, but we make sure that we are iteratively moving towards perfection, and that has been rewarding. We kind of, as over the years, I see, like I was telling Max a week back, that this is nice that as we are moving closer to the event, at least this year, we have less and less work. That means our framework works. We just have to get started earlier, that's all. And over the years, we have seen this framework mature and help us out. And that's how even today, we have time to give a talk out here just because CTF is running on its own. And that's always been a fun part. Collaboration community. So Cloud Village CTF is run entirely by volunteers, and it has been possible because folks coming in, collaborating, the earlier framework which I talked about always is rewarding for them in terms of learning, and folks come back again every year to contribute. So community is important, collaboration is important. We do make sure, just to add, that we deliberately pair, because anywhere you're in your cloud security journey, join us, that's what we go by. And we try to make sure if there are two challenge builders, like someone who's fairly new and someone who has built challenges before but doesn't want to own challenges or more, they just want to build because they're young and they don't want to take that particular end-to-end responsibility. We pair folks, people who have, we pair challenge builders, we pair testers and challenge owners. We do different permutation combination, keeping in mind that, okay, there is hand-holding in place for someone all the way till the top, wherever they want to need help. The new folks bring their own skills, perspective, and experience, making challenge themselves even and thorough. To elaborate more on that, while there are senior members in the team, while there are older volunteers, whenever new volunteers come in, we actually go through a phase called ideation of challenges, which is open to everyone, because in time and again, we realize that we might have, again, a certain myopic view about how challenges should be, but new volunteers, when they come in, we get them involved all from the beginning of the ideation stage, where they pitch in, okay, this challenge would be cool, can we build this? And we've had a lot of aha movement that, okay, we never thought about building something like this, and it has been rewarding. As I said earlier also, no matter where you are in your cloud security journey, we'll find something for you to contribute and upskill in parallel. This framework has been rewarding to us, it has been rewarding to community, has been rewarding to collaborators, like whoever has been associated with it. The only metrics I have is folks keep coming back to volunteer. That's all I'm banking on. All right, so with that being said, thanks a lot. This is our website. We are on Discord, join Discord. This is our Twitter. Feel free to tell us your feedback. I would always recommend to join our Discord, while you can always tweet to us. Join us on Discord. You would get to know what are different CTFs we are holding. This year we did BSID SF, we are in RSA, we are in DEF CON as well. And for any future events, this would be a nice place for you to go. Thank you. That being said, we do have 12 minutes. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We're here. There's nothing. We'll give 12 minutes back to you. You have a great day ahead. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, friends.